Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
Recently, we asked some people about sharing their New York Times accounts.
My name is Dana. I am a subscriber to the New York Times, but my husband isn't. And it would be really nice to be able to share a recipe or an article or compete with him in Wordle or Connections. Thank you.
Dana, we heard you. Introducing the New York Times Family Subscription. One subscription, up to 4 separate logins for anyone in your life. Find out more at nytimes.com/family.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
On this vote, the yeas are 47. The nays are 53. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
Shut down. Shut down.
Donald Trump and Republicans have shut the government down because they don't want to provide health care to working class Americans. Federal law prohibits the use of Medicare, Medicaid, the Children's Health Insurance Program, and the Affordable Care Act to provide health insurance in any way, shape, or form to undocumented immigrants. Period. Full stop. That's the law. And Democrats aren't trying to change that. What we are trying to do is negotiate a bipartisan agreement that actually brings the two parties together and funds the government in a way that improves the quality of life of the American people.
Chuck Schumer was in the Oval Office with me, 48 hours ago. We were there. The president, as a strong leader, he brought all of us in, all 4 leaders, Thune and Schumer and myself and Hakeem Jeffries. And the president said, make your case. What is it you want? And Chuck Schumer repeated in that meeting what he put on paper. The counter proposal that he filed, everyone can go read it for themselves, would add $1.5 trillion in new spending on a 7-week stopgap measure. We're not doing that. He wants to give health care to illegal aliens again. We're not doing that. He wanted to claw back $50 billion that our Republican Big Beautiful Bill put in to prop up rural hospitals. Now, people say, why would he do that? I thought he was for health care. Well, a lot of those rural hospitals, most of them are in red states. So I don't know. I don't know what his motivation is, but we can't do it.
Yeah, we know what the motivations are. Welcome, my friends, to the Wednesday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour, fastest hour in American media. The shutdown is on. It's on. Government. Oh, Carlos, how has your life changed after the government shutdown? The government shut down at midnight last night. How are you faring? How are you doing? Is everything okay?
I slept better last night.
You slept better with the government closed. Good Lord, Agnes. That's right, my friends. The shutdown is underway, and we have a lot to do today, so I want to get right to it. You heard, and you've been hearing the arguments for and against. Democrats insisting illegal immigrants are not getting any sort of assistance, and they're not for illegal immigrants getting, and that's not what's behind it. Republicans are lying, and they're just holding the government, holding you, the American people, hostage with this government shutdown because they need to negotiate a better deal, and your health care is at risk. You've heard all of that. Well, today we have the other side of the argument, which you're not hearing, with people like George Stephanopoulos. I mean, and thank goodness Mike Johnson is kind of long, took him to school. But this guy, I mean, I don't understand the folks at ABC Network News. They hire a political hack from the Clinton war room, George Stephanopoulos, make him the face of the news. And I don't know what they expect. Well, I do know what they expect, and you know what they expect. Let's start with that, and then I want to play something else. This is a little long first. I'm going to try to get some of these longer things out of the way now. So let's start with that. Cut one. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, was on with Stephanopoulos, and this is what that waste of Well, not a waste of time because Mike explained it, but here you go.
This morning, the Democratic proposal is designed to prevent millions of Americans from losing their health insurance, losing Medicaid coverage, or paying higher health care premiums. Why are you against that?
That's an absurd statement, what you said there. Let's be clear about what happened last night, George. No, George, let me tell you what happened last night. Everybody can go and review the facts for themselves. 44 Senate Democrats voted to reject a clean, nonpartisan continuing funding resolution to keep the United States government open. The Democrats said instead that they wanted to give health care to illegal aliens instead of keeping critical services provided for the American citizens. That's what happened, plain and simple. Every Democrat in the House, except one, voted against the clean continuing resolution. It was nonpartisan in nature. There are no policy riders on it that Republicans favored. It's exactly what Chuck Schumer and other Democrats voted for in March. But they've changed their tune. They changed their tune because Chuck Schumer is having political problems right now. That's just a simple fact, and everybody knows it. He's trying to outrun the far-left portion of his base, so he's decided to inflict pain on the American people. That's the reality of what we're facing.
Here are the facts. The proposal does not provide health care for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants cannot buy health care under the Affordable Care Act.
Okay, they cannot buy health care. This is very carefully, right there. Let's stop it. These are the facts, according to Steppenwolf. Illegal immigrants cannot buy health care. That's not the issue. Because you're right, they're not buying health care. The American people are funding their health care. Very carefully worded propaganda from ABC News with George Stephanopoulos. Now, folks, this one, please pay attention to. It is a lobbyist. We never, in my being here, I don't recall ever playing a lobbyist as a soundbite, but there is a lobbyist who stepped forward and posted on X what is going on. She is a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. Her name is Desiree Townsend. And we'll get through as much of this as we can. Listen to her explanation from a lobbyist. That's cut number 2 of what's going on with this shutdown and with Democrats.
Wrapping up the day here at Capitol Hill, it looks like, unfortunately, I think the government is going to shut down, and a large part of that is the Democrats not happy with the Medicaid cuts that were made as part of the big, beautiful bill. And so I was talking to a few Republican members here, and I got to actually talk to Rand Paul. I actually was able to talk with him in the elevator about this issue. So I think the sticking point for Medicaid with the Democrats is, let's take California, for example. California has a high demographic of individuals that are not here legally. And prior to the expansion of health care for them, the hospitals were inundated with people they could not handle. And so when that expansion happened and immigrants who are here, undocumented immigrants that are here, were able to get insurance, all of a sudden, you then had this new kind of revenue stream that came in not only to the hospitals, but now to all these doctors and providers in California. So if this big, beautiful bill and the Medicaid mandates go into place, I think what will happen in California will be a catastrophe, because you'll have all of these individuals now that are not documented with no health insurance. So all of the providers that were making money off of this kind of like new economics in California are now not going to be making any money, and instead these individuals that are undocumented are going to have to go to the hospital for treatment, and that's going to, instead of make the hospital money because they're covered by Medicaid, it's going to create a situation where now the hospitals are losing millions of dollars. So that is what I believe the sticking point is with Medicaid.
Okay, we've got it. Now, folks, this is so important because she nailed it. You don't hear George Stephanopoulos, you don't hear Mika and Joe, you don't hear any of these liberals actually laying it out like this lobbyist laid it out. What has happened? Let's go back to what she said. Prior to the expansion of what? The expansion of Obamacare, the expansion of Medicare. Why did Democrats create this expansion? Because of COVID. It was part of all their COVID slush funds. And in fact, the Wall Street Journal has an article today about this. The health insurance subsidies at the center of the government shutdown fight. Democrats want to restore enhanced ACA tax credits, Obamacare tax credits, while Trump rails against coverage for unauthorized immigrants. Enhanced subsidies for Obamacare are set to expire at the end of this year. Who expanded those subsidies? Joe Biden. And what Congress decides about them, I said Joe Biden, it's not New York, and what Congress decides to do about them could be crucial to any deal to end the shutdown. What are enhanced ACA Obamacare subsidies? Premium tax credits are a form of government subsidies that cap the maximum percentage of household income an individual pays toward their AHA coverage. In 2021, the Biden administration expanded eligibility for those tax credits and increased the subsidy amounts. And that's what we're talking about here. How many people get the subsidies? About 24.3 million Americans are enrolled in HHA. 22.4 million of them receive subsidies. So, you have these expanded subsidies. Now, what happened with all these expanded subsidies? Let's go further. Are unauthorized immigrants, illegal aliens eligible for ACA subsidies and Medicaid? Migrants into the country illegally aren't eligible to enroll in ACA Marketplace. The GOP's new tax law signed by Trump in July revoked eligibility from lawfully present immigrants, such as refugees, asylum seekers, and some visa holders. Now remember, with the asylum seekers were never vetted. They just poured through the border without proper vetting from Biden, and we had millions of them. And they were, because they had the quote-unquote legal status of Joe Biden, given insurance. The CBO estimates that the restrictions on eligibility for health care for lawfully present immigrants will reduce spending by about $131 billion over 10 years. Now, unauthorized migrants aren't typically eligible for Medicaid under federal law, but, here's the but, under the law, they are not eligible. But, big booty but, emergency. Medicare, the federal government, does use emergency Medicaid dollars to reimburse hospitals for some emergency treatments for unauthorized migrants. Let me break that down in plain English. Taxpayers pay for the health care of illegal immigrants because they get emergency room care, and the feds pick up the bucks for that. And that, my friends, the GOP's tax lowered the federal match percentage states receive for these medical services, reducing spending by about $28 billion through 2034. We're not talking chump change here. We're talking about billions of dollars, and that's what this lobbyist was talking about. Hospitals went into profit, to money-making, on the backs of taxpayers paying for illegal immigrants, and they don't want the money train to go away. They want illegal immigrants to keep flooding the hospitals so that they can get reimbursed and drive these hospitals into profit. That's what, and so yes, illegal immigrants are getting health care. But the hospitals are making the profit on it in liberal sanctuary cities like Los Angeles. And it's the difference between profit and loss. James Golden, Snerdley, keep it right here. Do not go away. The Schumer shutdown day one underway.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Fastest hour in American media. Let me connect the dots on this for you on a few things. Yesterday, we had the story that insurance companies are lobbying in an unprecedented way to try to back the Democrats' play on this. And now it should become clear why. Why are insurance companies lobbying hard for Democrats to get this money back into the system? Because they get paid. They get paid by Medicaid. Their coffers are busting at the seam. Now connect this dot. So the insurance companies are getting paid. They make payouts to the hospitals that service the illegal immigrants. And those hospitals are getting so much money from the insurance companies that they have gone into profit servicing illegal immigrants. So now you connect those two dots. Now connect this third dot, ladies and gentlemen. There were news stories in June. We can play some of the audio tomorrow. I just discovered it. I was still researching right before the show. From nurses, from video, when ICE raids started and they were in a panic. Why were they panicking? Because the hospital emergency rooms were almost empty. And they would say, oh, this is terrible. People are not coming in for care. They rely on illegal immigration as an infrastructure, and you, the taxpayers of America, are paying the bill, and Democrats are lying their asses off about it. We'll be right back.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bull. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Let us get to another, since we were just taking a detour into the lighter side, the humorous side. This will speak for itself. Who's going to take the blame? Who's going to take the blame? And Chuck Schumer addressed who's going to take the blame, and this is cut number 6 on the Senate floor today, and this is what old Chuck U. Schumer said.
Now, I know the leader is going to show a poll that says that Democrats will be blamed for the shutdown. There are many more polls that show Republicans are blamed. The question in that poll is biased. Biased. In the New York Times, but it's biased. If you turn the... That's true. I don't always believe the New York Times. You can be sure of that. Neither do you. Okay.
He gets laughed right out. The New York Times is biased, saying we're going to take the blame. Now, there's another point to this that's confusing, folks, and let me just try to address it really quickly. You've got two things working on here at once. You've got these Medicaid subsidies that are used to pay for the health treatment of illegal immigrants, especially in sanctuary cities. Let me remind you of something that the Democrats put through, along with some Republican votes. Remember the law that you cannot be denied emergency service if you're having a healthcare emergency. Hospitals cannot deny you coverage whether you are insured or not. That plays a key component in this, because the number of illegal immigrants that have been swarming into healthcare facilities in these sanctuary cities was driving these hospitals into the poorhouse. They had to provide free service. So what happened? We got expansions of two things: Medicaid and Obamacare. And remember what the Democrats kept saying then. Like Bernie Sanders, they wanted Medicare for all, Medicaid for all. They want a single payer plan, and they saw expanding Medicaid, Medicare, as a way to help get to that objective. Then you add into it this phony scam that was forced down the throats of the American people, Obamacare, where they've just been shoveling more and more money at it. And what did Biden do there? Biden expanded those premiums. And now what they're saying, the lying-assed Democrats, what they're saying is, if you take those down, people are going to die. People are going to die. Oh, no. Hospitals will close and people will die. The hospitals will close comes from the fact that they won't be able to fund and make a profit on giving health care to illegal immigrants. And that is why Democrats are saying hospitals will close. Because they know hospitals, these hospitals they're talking about, have gone into profit on the back of you, the taxpayer, paying for services for illegal immigrants to this country. So there's hospitals will close. Now the next thing is, if we don't keep Obamacare, people will die. Okay. Wall Street Journal. The government shutdown stakes for the GOP. Or maybe this is, I got to just check whether this is Wall Street Journal or not. But anyway, they go through the numbers there. Democrats are warning of higher premiums if the GOP doesn't extend turbocharged Obamacare subsidies that expire at the end of the year. GOP leaders are already hinting that they are open to negotiating and floating ideas that would give the Democrats much of what they want. But see, Democrats don't want that. They want it all. Johnson, Wall Street Journal, correct. The subsidies are bad policy, although it would help if Republicans told the public the reasons. The supercharged subsidies first passed in 2021 for COVID-19 emergency that ended long ago. Democrats juiced those subsidies for everybody while opening up the spigot to those earning 400% above the poverty line. So now the Republicans are trying to claw back some of that money, is basically it. It was expanded during comment, part of the slush fund. Let's create money we don't have and spend it and spend it and spend it and spend it. Ooh, Obamacare, let's give people more and more money for subsidies for Obamacare. so they don't have to pay their own weight under that failing scheme program that was supposed to lower costs, and not a cost is lower. They've all risen out off the charts because Obamacare was and is a lying scheme brought to you by lying Democrats with not one Republican vote. Now, Wall Street Journal. Despite what you may read, letting them expire, these subsidies that Democrats are saying will kill people. Oh, people are going to die. The Republicans they're not happy. First they tried to push grandma off the cliff with Medicaid years ago when Newt was in office. And then they tried to take school lunches from your children. And they wanted to starve the children. And then they came after the blacks and the women because they're trying to get rid of the DEI. And they hate everybody. They're trying to kill your children. They're trying to kill your grandma. They're trying to kill your grandpa. Republicans want to kill everybody except themselves. They even want to kill their own children. They don't like women. They don't like girls. And yeah, if we stop with all this money going to Obamacare, people are going to die. Despite what you may read, letting these subsidies expire, says the Wall Street Journal, is not going to gut Affordable Care Act. Somebody who's at 100% of the poverty line, in other words, the poor people who are on Obamacare would still, on average, pay $3.45 a week in premiums. If it's clawed back, the poor people, their health care premiums will be $3.45 a week. They're not going to die because they got to cough up $343.45.
Less than a Happy Meal.
It's less than what?
Happy Meal.
Less than a Happy Meal. Less than a Happy Meal. They might, though, not be able to get one of them Colt 45s, not the guns. They might not be able to get a bottle of Ripple. Excuse me. Do they even make Ripple anymore?
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what Ripple is?
No.
Do they make MD 2020 anymore?
Yeah.
All right, might not be able to get a bottle of MD 2020. If y'all don't know what that is, I'll just tell you. Y'all don't. Anyway.
You call it Mad Dog.
Mad Dog 2020. That's what we used to call it back in the day.
Yeah.
Go get some Mad Dog 2020. And then when we went all hippie and stuff, then we used to get some Boone's Farm.
Yeah.
Carlos, you don't know what we're talking about. These were the good days in America.
MD was the...
When you could go out and get yourself some MD 2020, Mad Dog 2020, some Boone's Farm, some Ripple, and guzzle, and listen to some rock and roll music. And have unfiltered... stop right there, James, and talk about those intimate moments. Okay, so let's get back to it. Despite what you might read and hear from these lying-ass Democrats and their lying-ass lackeys on the news, nobody is going to die from Medicaid and the Obamacare subsidies being clawed back. The poor of the poor, the poorest of the po'. The po people, the po-pos, will only be paying $3.45 a week in premiums. Folks, that's less than $20 a month for their health care. And Democrats out here lying to everybody that will listen. People are going to die. They're going to die. Now, let's say you're $250 your salary above the poverty line. Means you're making a lot more money. You're going to pay $52 a week for your health care under Obamacare. A little over $200 a month. Now, that is not people are going to die money. That's not what we're talking about here. Yes, if you're real poor, I get it. $200 can be a lot of money. But if you are working $200 for your health care, come on, a month, come on. Like, that's what Michael says. Don't look at me like that. Michael says, come on. All right. The Democrats are lying, folks. And we had so many other good cuts but I'm running out of time because I really wanted to explain this stuff today. And I hope it's not too in the weeds. And we're going to continue. Now, there are some hopeful things going on. Russ Vought has said that the layoffs start in the next day or two. Oh, y'all want the FA? It's time to FO. Layoffs start in about a day or two, is what he said. Labor unions have already taken the Trump administration. They filed last night over a mass layoff plan that hadn't even happened. And then you have the Democrats like this guy. I want you to listen carefully, and if you happen to know anybody that knows this guy's staff, make sure they know. Democrats drove the federal government into a shutdown at 12:01 a.m. Really, 750,000 large employees are going to be furloughed. But Democrat Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona told NBC News he is not going to forego his $174,000 congressional salary. So this guy voted for the shutdown to throw his staffers and all the other staffers and all these other government workers that are not going to be getting paychecks out of work. He voted for it to throw them out of work. But then he said, I'm not going to just do my paycheck. No. He says, I'm not wealthy. I have 3 kids. I would basically be missing, mortgage payments, rent payments, child support. So it's not feasible. Not going to happen. I'm not giving up my money. He's a Democrat congressman. He's not going to give up his money, but he's willing to throw his staff and all these other government workers out of work with no money. Those are your Democrats. James Golden, Snerdley. Please don't go away. Keep it right here.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Say Congressman. I meant to say Senator Ruben Gallego of Arizona. He's not going to give up his salary, but screw his staff and screw everybody else. Howard Hewitt has a birthday today. With Shalimar, second time around, a night to remember this one in the 80s. This was on Solar Records. That was Dick Griffey's company. This is Howard Hewitt. I got this record when I was music director at WABC in New York back in the day. We had a fight over this record because I was like, we got to add this to the playlist. And then I heard some pushback, kind of like, this too ghetto. No, it's not. No, we're playing this. Anyway, we got to go, folks. May God bless and protect each and every single one of you, your families, and your loved ones. Such a pleasure to be with you. And I so appreciate you being here with me. Tomorrow, I'm going to find those clips from those people complaining that the LA hospitals serving illegal immigrants were empty. In the meantime, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?